Hey, folks. We are back from our longer than intended hiatus. This is episode 17, we think. Could be 18, could be 16. We're going with 17. Um, and Elizabeth. I'm here with Gustavo.
I'm Gustavo.
We just, decided to do it without Chris. What can I say? And we've got Atlas producing. So I don't know if you're going to hear Atlas's voice of
Yes, they
God or
can.
see,
Hello.
there we go, see Atlas messages in chat. Maybe, both, either and. But yeah, so after we did Max Unplugged for the first time, we had one episode early December. And then we ended up very quickly into holiday travel and all of that sort of thing. And now here at Virginia Tech, where many of us are based, classes start tomorrow. So we thought we would log on and say hi. So yeah, I'm wondering, what do you think, Gustavo? Should we do more looking ahead or looking back first?
Let's start with last year and then we'll move into this year.
Cool.
Sidebar, just so I say it out loud, thank you, Will, for the Prime subscription.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a great reminder because if we haven't streamed since December, now's your reminder for January that if you get a free Prime sub, we appreciate it. I mean, you can pay too. We really don't mind.
Paying is cool.
You know, we're all for the using the benefit that you've already sort of paid for with your Amazon Prime subscription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to bypass Bezos and just give it straight to us, I'm also fine with it.
100%. But next time Amazon wants Gustavo to run an event, we're also fine with it.
Yes, I'm happy to do the events at Amazon.
That's a whole I think we talked about that a little on here. I can't even remember. But I do know that last time we couldn't hear you, Gustavo. So yeah, what did you like about Unplugged?
What did I like about Unplugged? I
Yeah.
liked everything about Unplugged. It was really fun. It was like it was only my second con, but it was really fun. The first one being PAX East. The vibe at Unplugged was kind of much more my speed. I mean, I love video games, but I'm really a board game person at heart. And so having being locked in a great big series of giant rooms with people who are sort of feel the same way about that was really awesome. Got to see a lot of cool stuff. Philly is a great city. It was also much easier to travel to. No offense, Boston, from the part of Virginia that we're in to get to Philly than it is to get to Boston. So that was also really great. And I think we had a lot of fun. We did a lot more stuff, which is really
Yes.
cool. The
It's like
AFGL was off and popping.
we just kind of
Elizabeth,
expanded every direction. No,
yeah,
it's funny because I every time I walk past the rooms where they were doing like escape room type stuff, man, I was breaking my own heart every time because I was a little too busy, between mostly just managing the AFGL, keeping an eye on other things. We had a panel to do, trying to do meetings with folks that I didn't really play anything, I don't think. Which we're changing. I shouldn't have that problem at East and moving forward. But some of it was also my knee. Like I knew that I couldn't go places quickly. So we just kind
yeah,
of
that was
planned
tough.
for me to plant in the AFGL. Um, I went out to the show floor a couple times and regretted it deeply. But yeah, the AFGL was fantastic. We had a completely different vibe this time. Folks at Dots helped us decorate it really nicely. And we had a good third of the room as a free play space and space for folks to hang out. We had the trading card game stuff, which was wild. I mean, I think both of the Magic draft cubes filled, which surprised me because that was like an all-day commitment. It was somewhere between like 4 and 6 hours, I think. It was long. The draft cube was long. But every spot was filled. And then for Pokemon, we had I want to say almost twice what we planned for.
I would say
Um,
that's a fairly conservative number. There were so many people for Pokemon.
yeah, because I think it went from like us thinking 30 max to around 60, but it's hard because the way we were counting people, we realized pretty quickly wasn't working because not everybody was like, if we had a little piece of paper that you could take, not everybody was taking it. And then sometimes like a couple people would come and play and only one person would take it. And we still had to print twice as many as planned. So yeah, no, it was impressive. We had tabletop stuff. I think a lot of the demos and short form things went faster. So we are leaning towards offering even more like shorter experiences. The character builder too, that was nuts. I didn't know if anybody was going to come by and build a D&D character, and I was swarmed the last day. It was like max 4 and I had 6 people sitting there. Which is a lot. That's a lot of D&D custom 2024 D&D characters to build in an hour by myself. But we'll have more people trained on it. And apparently that was something people wanted. And then they get, the OTG character sheet version, character key.
I almost think that sometimes character creation is like, and I think we were talking about this. I think we were talking about the character creator thing, was that character creation is like a game in and of itself, right? Like it has like a whole separate set of sort of rules that will become apparent when you're playing the actual game that you're going to play, but like you're sort of doing this sort of really fun some people really enjoy it, the sort of pre-game of building out your character and trying to figure out what they're going to do. And there's so many different approaches of whether it's like you're going to have sort of a role play forward concept, or you're trying to optimize to get like the most awesomest whatever in the game. And I think that can be really fun for some people, but it also feels like sometimes it's an entirely separate experience.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I do really like helping people build out their characters too. Because there was one day I had someone come over and he just had like a whole note on his iPhone that was filled with wild off the wall character concepts. Most of them had like no class or mechanical thing. Like one of them was just Chewbacca. I just want to be Chewbacca. How are we going to do that? Or like the whole shtick was a man being chased by a bear. What? Okay. But that's really fun for me. I really like that part of it because as we've made the tools, I've gotten to know the inside mechanics really well, and I'm still interested in getting to know the 2024 mechanics better. But there's something really fun when people bring you a concept and they can stay on that like role-playing character-y thing, and then you can sort of get all the gears and everything working underneath of it to empower the idea they have in mind. Yeah, I like spending my PAXs doing that. And who knows? I mean, PAX Unplugged, that is more tabletop gaming, right? That's that hands down. So maybe it won't be quite as ambitious as PAX East, but that might be a nice segue to me just letting y'all know we are planning on being at PAX East in Boston. We're working with Dots RPG to run the Access Forward Gaming Lounge again. It's going to be a little closer to the PAX Unplugged version. One of the challenges at PAX Unplugged was that the PAX Together intersection where OTG had a table was almost as far away, if not as far away as humanly possible, from where the Access Forward Gaming Lounge was. And the Philly, I guess it's technically the Pennsylvania Convention Center there in Philly. It's like 4 buildings and a trench coat. So it was a lot trying to move back and forth. So we're going back to, it sounds like we're going to be in the same hallway at least, which will help tremendously. But in doing that, it's going to be a smaller room at East than we had it Unplugged. So I don't know if we're going to be able to have that like free play area. But we're hoping to have a lot of similar experiences, still have some long form tabletop gaming, try to introduce some video game things. Really curious what the appetite is for Gwent, like actual on the table Gwent.
I would play.
Yeah, because I mean, I would. Some of the adaptations we've been playing with other systems will work, some won't. I don't know. I got a set. Doug Cockle has a set. Is willing to kick ideas around with us. Could be fun. But yeah, we've proposed a lot of stuff. We'll let y'all know what gets accepted. I mean, we've literally I've never proposed this much before. We even did a community meetup submission, a panel submission, workshop submission, multiple folks submitting to the PTI to run games there, and we have an exhibitor submission for the PTI. I should highlight all of these things are enormously competitive and seem to be more competitive year over year. Who knows what we're going to get, right? But we'll let you know what's on the program. And if you're going to be there and you're interested in running stuff, let us know because we're not doing a general call for the Access Forward Gaming Lounge. When you sit down and do the math with the number of allies we have in our communities already, it's yeah, we already have a lot of stuff going on. So we're trying to do this more. Reach out to us if you're interested. But we're not going to do kind of that PTI style general application, at least this time, because we want to see what it looks like to come up with something that's a bit more a trusted network. I mean, frankly, it just feels more disability culture-y to do it this way. Because we're trying to offer the best experience we can in accessible gaming. But yeah, I just talked a whole lot. And we've convinced, I mean, it was so hard to convince Gustavo to go to East.
I was waffling there for a minute. It's challenging. But
You were waffling because, you're an adult with responsibilities, but
right. But then I decided I would shirk those. So
overrated.
So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. And then do we have any other news?
I think Gustavo's fishing for how much we can say about some of our other news.
We-
Okay, I'll give you the one that I can't say a whole lot about, and I'll like East say more than I should. February 18th, probably right at noon. We're doing another live stream with our buddy Doug and some other folks. This is you might remember us doing this a year ago. If you've been around that long, God bless you. I can't believe it was only a year ago, actually. The first time we played D&D with Doug was a year ago. Yeah, I mean, 11 months at this point, I guess. But we're going to be playing with Doug to raise money for Virginia Tech and specifically the School of Performing Arts, which he's an alum of the theater program. I'm an alum of the music program. I'm current music faculty. Chris is current music faculty. We are probably going to have 2 new faces, also from the School of Performing Arts, from the faculty staff side. And when I can announce those, I will announce those. We also have a new student worker joining us soon. So we're growing the team a little bit. And we'll get you those. But yeah, I would say go ahead and save the date because I know a lot of American folks, this means it's going to be in the middle of your work day. You don't have to tell the boss, you can just have it. Don't listen to me. But you'll want to see it because it's going to be fun. And we'll do what we did before, where a lot of the kind of fundraising is tied around things that will impact and change the game. This one's going to be very silly, very Virginia Tech and Blacksburg kind of based, but in a fantasy realm. Chris is already working on the adventure. Yeah, it should be a pretty good time. And I guess the other big thing is we're moving this show to Thursdays starting next week because it's kind of in the title, the whole professor thing. We have to do our scheduling semester by semester because our entire lives get upended and shifted every few months. But
it's true.
Yeah. But that way we can be more reliable and here with y'all. But
it turns out that making a Twitch stream is just as fraught with schedule conflicts as playing D&D. So you'd think we're good at it, but I guess the curse is just one big curse.
oh, speaking of playing D&D and Twitch streams, we did run a little poll in our Discord, and we were surprised by what folks wanted. The top one was learning more about adaptive video gaming. So that is definitely in the mix. We have to experiment and innovate quite a bit on this front because there's some technical things that'll make that a little bit tricky, but it'll be worth it in the end. So it's not going to be quick, but we are working on getting some adaptive and accessible like video gaming content on the stream by the end of the year. And one of the other ones that was way up there was just like us playing. Now I want to know if they want D&D or if they want something else. Probably should be
Well,
D&D. but
I will say, going back to Unplugged, is we're working, so there was not that much time to do other stuff, but I did get to play a couple other things. I played a Tales of the Valiant one shot
Mhm.
one evening, um, and I played a PBTA game called
Those
Masks,
masks, right? Yeah.
and I will say it was super fun to play other things. Tales of the Valiant is very, 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 very Dungeons and Dragons. Um, PBTA is a whole other thing, but it's really fun, and I really liked it. And I got to play with Atlas as well, and we recently got the band back together and did a second shot.
That's awesome.
And that was pretty fun. So I really enjoyed it, and it was great. So
I mean, we could do the Brindlewood Bay thing because I still really want to run that.
which one's that?
So Brindlewood Bay is the one where it's like a New England town, and you're like a bunch of retired women in a murder mystery club.
Awesome.
But you start investigating like real mystery things that are happening. I don't know. I was in Minneapolis in was this like September, I think. I was there doing work with the Cedar Cultural Center, and I stopped by a game store, and someone in there was like, "I don't make any money from this. I've just been playing TTRPGs for decades, and you have to buy this one." So I had to buy it. Like that's just those are the rules, aren't they? That's why
I
Chris came
mean,
home with everything.
yeah, it's good that I'm too busy at these cons to actually spend any time on the floor, because then I'd be spending money, which I don't have. So
I think almost all the money I've ever spent at cons has been in the form of handing a student my credit card and asking him to go buy me something. It's happened more than once with more than one student. They do a good job. I don't find surprises on my credit card statement, so far so good. Yeah. But I think it'll
I
no, I
don't.
think it's gonna be interesting now that we have had one run at both, right? Um, what it's gonna be like with the cons this year, because I think it'll be a lot less just overwhelming. That's the
One would
plan.
hope. One would hope.
We
Um,
also keep adding things to every iteration, so it's not like we totally
Everyone says it
settle.
always gets easier, and then it never does. But it gets more fun, right? Um, so yeah, PAX East will be fun. Other exciting things will be fun as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm really hoping some of our content gets picked up, um, as we can start bringing in some of, like, the disability studies nerddom of what we do into the gaming space instead of just the other way around, um, which is wild. And, yeah, Chris and I apparently are gonna be doing a 90-second talk for some of the really big fancy donors at Virginia Tech. We got picked for the Nutshell Games thing for Up Prosim weekend.
oh
But we
wow!
have to do this, like, 2 or 3-hour training to get our 90-second talk figured out, and the 2 days they gave us were both PAX East. So I had to be like, "I'm sorry, I have to go do
These
this
are
big
these are the
deal
one days
thing,
we can't
so
go.
I can't prep to do this big deal thing." But no, I mean, I will say, like, saying, "Oh, yeah, remember that live stream we did a year ago? How has this been a year, friends? How has this been just a year?" Um, no, it's absolutely wild, some of the nonsense that we're up to, and hopefully we'll be able to get more of, like, the research part done this year. I know that's one of our big goals on top of just some sustainability pieces, growing the team, getting to where we can integrate all of the, like, lovely people volunteering to help us, like, actually get them what they need to help us, which sounds simple, but it is not. Um, it's incredibly complex trying to get all the pieces in place, but we're working on it. Like one offer we got to help us get a podcast version of this, which would be lovely to be able to have the content on multiple platforms because it helps make it more accessible, right? And at the end of the day, that's a big goal. But Oh, 2026, here we come. I don't know. I do have to wonder though, like, I don't know, Gustavo, how are you gonna make sure it's still fun? Because I've been
What?
impressed by the fact that you seem to, like, work your tail off at the conventions and then also play games all night, and then you're, like, back at it,
Um,
and I just wanna bite everyone's head off.
I think it's because I have young kids, so, like,
Mm,
I just live in a world of sleep debt. So,
makes
yeah,
sense.
and
It's the young kid training.
you know, I love what we're doing at the cons, like, just what we Open the Gates is doing,
Yeah.
at the cons, so, like, that also really, helps keep me motivated, and then I know that, like, uh sometimes just having the captive audience where you're gonna have to play the game is the best way to get it on the books anyway. So um, so yeah, you just got to make the best of it. It is exhausting. It's fun because I get to take that time off from work and then immediately go back to work. Um, so it's
I haven't even told you about the people that want us to either go to Boston early or stay in Boston late.
no, I think yeah, it's come up, and maybe we'll have other Boston programming for Boston people. Yay!
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
mean, one thing we wanna figure out is how to have, like, a smaller cohort, and this might be one of those things that pushes us to, right? Like, is there a way for just 1 or 2 people to stay late and everybody else can go home first or,
Yeah,
something
I mean
like that. That way it's
that's totally reasonable.
a little bit more sustainable for us, but I think Chris and I are both only teaching on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Nice.
Because for those of you who don't know, college professors, unless you are specifically teaching heavy, college professors, most of their job is not teaching. I feel like this is, like, not common knowledge for the average person. Um, yeah, like, oftentimes no more than 40% of your job is teaching. So, sometimes it's flexible, but it's flexible in the flavor of you never feel like it's okay to stop working, like, ever. Unless you're the type that has tenure and then just, like, literally doesn't answer emails all summer. That's like it's a subtype. Chris and I can't get away with that yet.
um,
So many
I
things could be said, but aren't being said.
I don't teach, but I work with a lot of professors because I am a university administrator type person. I live in that separate. We're like the birds that perch on the backs of rhinoceroses and hippos.
It is really weird because it is, like, a totally separate parallel reality.
Yeah.
Like, because since I have an admin percentage in my role as a teaching and research professor, I get a little bit of this, like, behind the scenes look from time to time, and it's wild. Just, like, how different your experience of everything is from that side. Um, it basically makes me even more embarrassed from my side.
Yeah. And I guess technically I'm an administrator at a research institute, which is also a little bit different. So
Yeah, because Virginia Tech is an R1. The fact that we have pulled off OTG at an R1, y'all, there's a lot of pieces. There's a lot of pieces here.
yep.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't wait till you find out who I'm hoping. I mean, I have a date to build a character, but that still feels like it's too early to announce some of the casting for the live stream.
it
But
100% is.
it's gonna be entertaining.
We'll have to
I'll just put it that way.
cut to the redacted screen. Beep. So
Yep.
Atlas, you have that your finger on the emergency button, right? Yeah, all the time because it exists.
I was asking permission to bleep us.
Do I need to
Yeah,
turn the
so
swearing thing on?
uh,
Oh, it's on, actually. I lied.
yeah,
I was
that
gonna
should be a
say,
given.
I
I
don't think
mean,
it
come
ever
on.
goes off. I mean,
Technically, it does.
it was on for the Christian episode with the yeah. Christian being
Um,
my nephew, not.
The way of life.
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna back slowly out of the room. Yeah. So I don't know if we have any more announcements.
Going somewhere with that, so I waited. And I was like, "Oh, he's not going anywhere with that."
No, I
Not out
I
loud.
shouldn't go anywhere with that. I just yeah.
Okay, so just for my own edification, some context here. Gustavo has already explained something to me, but I understood none of it. So
Oh
I
no.
wanna hear about the 1 HP dragon, and in my defense, I just, like, last minute panic redid my entire syllabus and my entire order of everything for my class that meets tomorrow morning. That's the mess here. But yeah, what is this 1 HP dragon?
This was just something that I thought was a little bit interesting that came through my feed was served up to me by my algorithm. And it came from an account linked to Explorers Design, which is a blog about TTRPG design and stuff. But sort of uh, the concept is that um, the big bad's always this dragon, and then the dragon ends up being this big combat at the end of the campaign, and it's just sort of a punching bag of HP that you're then whittling down. And the 1 HP dragon is sort of idea that uh, the hit points don't matter, right? So like it's 1 HP. When you finally get there to kill it, you will kill it. But the idea is that you're putting a whole bunch of like obstacles in the way of accessing the dragon. Maybe the dragon has like impermeable armor that needs some sort of magic fix. So then you have to go on this sort of lore quest to figure out how to defeat that. So it's sort of you can build the campaign around this sort of combat against this foe, but it doesn't end up being this sort of mechanical I hit the thing and then
Mhm.
it does the thing and then it hits me back. Um, so it's just kind of an interesting concept and I kind of liked it. So yeah, so you have to kind of like I think what drew me to it was that they said the dragon is the dungeon because you have to sort of solve this very elaborate puzzle to defeat it.
Honestly,
That
this
makes
reminds me
sense.
of
Is
yeah,
everybody on
it
board with
reminds me a
this?
little bit of how my friend Ed DMs. Like, a lot of times we would go into a situation like a combat, and we're attacking and we're just it's not going well, especially if it was, like, at least mini boss level, right? And what we needed to do was actually investigate the room. Like, there's usually something happening in the room. There's some clue to, like, the strategy and the way you need to do it, but the problem was the sort of like D&D mindset. You're thinking that action economy and you're being told, "Oh, if I want to do a perception check, it's gonna take my action." And it's like, well, I might as well just hit the thing and figure it out later, right? But I like, I've never been happy with that. That's one of the things I don't like about combat is it's a lot of like waiting for everyone else's turn. I don't know. It feels like you're just playing with mechanics. You can lose the storytelling so quickly, I think, with how D&D
The
works. So I do like this concept quite a bit.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting, and it reminds me a lot of like you were just saying about like one of the ways that you can make these big fights fun is like you have to give players something to do that's
Mhm.
not fight. So they have to make a choice, right? I don't know. The room is flooding. So there's a lever and it needs to be pulled. That lever is going to cost you your action, right? There's also
Yeah.
some bad guys in the room that you have to deal with. So you have to choose what to do. And that sort of builds in this sort of interesting mechanics that sort of open the door to role playing and making like hard choices as opposed to like fireball, which is fun. Fireball is fun, but sometimes it's fun to be like, oh, if I don't
Yeah.
stop the flooding, we're all going to die anyway. So um,
Yeah,
I
because
think that's really fun.
I've been playing a lot with the and I make it so combat is always a choice. Like, that's been the thing I've been playing with, and I feel like that's pretty compatible with what is being described here. I think the article you sent me had something interesting at the beginning. Just thinking through, let me see if I can find the wording. But oh yeah, this idea about like give players puzzles with no obvious or singular solutions. And how I was playing around quite a bit with like weird ways to write mysteries. Everything from DMing something where there was absolutely no answer. The answer was whatever the players developed while trying to find the answer, but they didn't know that. Um, down to things where there is a very ultra specific answer, and I have all these clue tables and hint tables, and and as they're doing stuff is going to come up, and I'm just like waiting for them to piece it together to like stuff that's a little bit in between. It is a really interesting thing to try to like let go of control, like set up a problem, but let go of control over how the solution happens. I feel like you have to know what kind of DM you're dealing with though, because if it's a DM that is literally looking for that one solution, that's a completely different ballgame. And it could be frustrating. I don't know.
I will say that a great piece of DMing advice that I've heard is is about puzzles, because puzzles are hard. I think it's one of the hardest
Yeah.
things to do because it is a fun thing to put in the game as a DM and as a player, and like sometimes you have those players who are like just escape room monsters who are just super good at like putting all the things together, and then you
Mhm.
hand them the word search, whatever the recombination, they've got it done in 5 minutes, right? They did cryptography, all the things, and then you've got your other friends who are just
Feeling
kind of
really
like
called out over here.
cannot process any of that, and so like never have a puzzle with only one way to get to the answer. Make sure you've got multiple ways of scaling challenge from like
Yeah.
you look closely at the thing to decipher the letter, um, and break the code, so that you can get there, because you can just end up in a very frustrating session for you as a DM and for the players too, who just sometimes just don't know what they're looking for, and so that can be challenging, um, for sure.
'Cause yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if I'm dealing with a really big boss, I tend to try to build in some sort of toggle with the combat, right? Um, you don't like when you get even if you're using something that's pre-gen, whatever, something you got out of the source book. You don't have to use the legendary actions, you don't have to use the layer actions, you don't have to play the thing all out. Just like how the thing does not have to play until it dies, like monsters can run away. Um, but I like having ways to ramp things up and pull it back as it feels appropriate in combat to try to, give the players the best. It's not the easiest experience. It can be like I'm trying to give them something far more challenging without being so demoralizing or having no solution. But that idea of having puzzles that have a similar feature is really fascinating. Um, whether it's you know, which blocks do you step on to get through? Is there a way of presenting the information differently? Or because if the players are really creative, like that kind of classic, right? Like you're looking at the ground, very Indiana Jones-esque, and there's all these blocks in the floor with letters, and you don't know what you're supposed to spell out. I mean, a dwarf with tremor sense in 2024 could maybe try to use that to at least get like the first little bit, right? Let your players get creative with how they solve it.
Right,
'Cause the
for sure,
tendency is
and then
either to
there's
be the DM that wants to give them everything, or be the DM that wants to withhold everything and is, like, getting disappointed while they're getting stuff right, and you gotta resist both of those paths, friends, or it's
uh
just frustrating for everyone.
I definitely have a character that has some ability for warlocks that lets you see through stuff, which I think can be really fun for me, but kind of terrible for the DM sometimes because I'm just like, oh yeah, I know you spent like hours. I realize as soon as I like trigger the ability that you spent hours trying to craft this puzzle that I broke instantly. Um, so yeah,
I feel like that's a moment where like the toggle that you build in is just getting that warlock snatched out of there. Like just
yeah,
some creature just bamfs you somewhere else. I
yeah,
don't know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess always check your character's character sheets.
yeah. That's also a
The
good
player
advice.
character sheets,
Be,
'cause
be aware of what's happening at the table.
yeah, or you could be me at Chris's table last time we played and blurt something out thinking that I couldn't possibly be right, and I turned out to be right. Um, it's like we try not to metagame. We do a lot of like, "Would my character know what this is?" To try to avoid the metagaming, and he described an object that was, like, adjacent to, um, a bag of holding, and we had to be fair, we did have a bag of holding, and I think my character is the one holding the bag of holding. So it wasn't, like, totally out of the realm but I just blurted out like, "Oh, it sounds like a bag of holding," but I thought it sounded like it, but it wasn't because of all this, like, elaborate different description, but it was, and then I feel like I ruined that moment, and my barbarian wouldn't have known. But I don't know, maybe he would have because he's holding a bag of holding.
Yeah, I mean that feels
Part about the
legit.
flaming heads actually felt more right for him to figure out. No, I'm giving y'all no context on that because I have no idea which parts of this are the published module and which parts are Chris's brain. So we're just gonna
Who
err on
knows?
the side of caution on that and give you no context.
Um, yeah.
But I keep wondering like how you actually do. It's funny when you describe this dragon, it feels very Smog-esque, right? Like that's the other thing I love about it is it feels it's very like it's actually rooted in this fantasy storytelling tradition. I'm trying to figure out how
Uh,
you implement it for anything except a dragon. I mean,
I
I
mean, the
guess
Death Star is another great example of it.
yeah,
I mean, Rogue
that's
One is
true.
essentially that whole scenario, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you could definitely do it with some political intrigue. You could definitely do it with a lich. I mean, it's almost built into a lich if you go the
Yeah.
phylactery route, right? So, but it's
Um,
it's paying attention to all. It's like that stuff isn't just what gets you to the fight. Conceiving of the whole adventure, it's got to make the fight. You got the payoff's got to be bigger because there's also nothing worse for players or DMs than like you're building up to this final confrontation and then it's just over too quick in a non-satisfying way.
yeah,
Not that the combat itself has to be long, it's that the moment needs to feel right.
yeah, and yeah, I think that a lot is just about the how you build to that moment because, like, sometimes I have been in like sessions where we're coming to the end of like a whole arc or something, and then we get into this combat, and we're just sitting there trading blows for like maybe 2 sessions, right?
Yeah.
Because we're playing at a relatively high level. It's a big thing. We're trying to do it. And then it's just like kind of like we just sat there building this whole narrative head of steam. And then we're just kind of, and it feels, that can feel really, uh, combat
It's
can get boring, I think,
it's
after
where
like
you at least want it to have, like,
three
phases where
rounds.
something needs to change, something has to and I wonder if that would be a fun rule to play with yourself, that it's like you can't go more than 2 rounds without it something shifting, like, if you're gonna keep the combat going.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think that that's also a good, good mechanic.
just to
Yeah.
kinda yeah, like, make something interesting. On the other hand, like, every now and again, you DM for players who are just great at this. Like, I love how some parties really have role-playing through combat energy. I think this
Yeah.
if there's a positive sort of critical role effect, it might be this. I feel like it is becoming more common for people to narrate through combat. Um, I cannot remember which it's a woman, don't remember which one. This is great, bad with names. But no, great D&D personality or TTRPG personality who was talking about, like, how you narrate through these moments and how it can be as simple as, like, somebody does their thing or whatever, pause for a second and narrate what that was like and then link it to the next, like, having those moments to, like, link the one activity to another, or to kind of even like, let's say you've only got like 3 or 4 players, you could even like when you get to the end of the round, narrate what that whole round was like, kind of trying to help build some of that energy into the next
Yeah,
step.
yeah.
But it is a little bit on the players too to have a plan and a backup plan. Which can be hard. And I think we've all both been the player that's been frustrated by people's turns taking a long time and the player who's taking a long time.
I am
You find that it depends on what class. If your build is complex, I'm much more forgiving than when you have a simple build and I'm just like, "Oh my god, what are you
yeah.
doing?" I'm like, "Chill out, Elizabeth. Nobody cares." Um, I'm just being impatient. But
Yeah, it is I do
that's
try
the
to
hardest thing about online gaming because I feel like people move faster in person. And it might just be an illusion.
I think it's the table. I think it's the pressure of the table. I think that like once
Yeah.
everybody's behind a screen, you have enough of a sort of psychological remove that you're just kind of like, oh, I'm in my own space and I can take my own time. Whereas at the table, you're in a shared space and it is shared time. And so like, I think it's about respecting that social
Yeah.
compact that you're there to do the thing. So don't be on your phone and watching football games or whatever. You know, be tuned in, be ready for your turn.
Yeah.
To
I
the
mean,
best you can, because like stuff will change, but
stuff will
like
change.
know your character. I've played with friends who have been playing for years, and it's like every week they sit down with the character sheet, and I love them dearly, but it's like every time is the first time, and it's like it's just like I'm just yeah, exactly. I'm just like okay.
I will always have empathy for other people that jump into a cleric at high level. Because you can just constantly switch out your spells and it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. I guess I've played a cleric. I've played a couple clerics recently, and there is that sort of spell management thing that is kind of
Well,
like,
and it's a little different. Like wizards, you're often like, okay, how can I do the most damage in this given situation? Whereas clerics, you're like, do I want to heal? Do I want to buff? Do I want to walk up and hit something? Do I want like you just have a lot more options that are viable as a cleric.
yeah, and a lot of it's like utility stuff that's maybe not even combat based, and so it's
But
like,
that's the thing is like I think about Gita as a Tempest cleric and having, she could call lightning, she could bless, she could heal, she could revivify, she can hit people really hard with a trident. Um, there's just like a few too many options for it to be super predictable. So
yeah,
I have a harder time running her than like a bard multi-class. Or some
yeah,
other things that are notoriously a little tricky. It could also be that that was a campaign that was like at best every other week, and I do much better with every week campaigns. I think the scheduling is a lot easier. And I know it's hard for people to give up that much time, but like I don't know, my every night campaign or my every week campaign does a lot better than the every other because it's just once you get in that rhythm, people just yeah. But it's a
yeah,
luxury that most of us adults don't have.
for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, yeah, it's
And
it's
we
hard.
we only play for like really we only get like 2 hours of playtime in probably because even the nights that we play late, it's usually because we didn't shut up and we were just talking and visiting for too long at the beginning.
Yeah,
Because
we
it's a
do
group
that.
of people that are almost entirely online friends too. So I feel like the balance is even worse that direction than like the one that we play in that's every other week. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to
Um,
say Will runs a tight ship, but also we keep getting more ships.
I saw a great piece of advice one time that I've never been able to put into
It's my
sort of
favorite.
practice around this.
Mm.
But it was from a theater person, a theater D&D person, which is pretty common. But it's the idea of when you're starting your session, you have house open. Everybody gets there. You've got 30 minutes to fool around. Some people are going to be there 30 minutes in advance. Some people are going to be there a little bit later. Squishy time. Everyone's milling around. And then there's curtain up and you're just in it. So it's like 30 minutes, curtain goes up, and you are now in game.
That only
Um,
works if there's no parents.
Yeah. So.
I mean, because the kids pop out of bed at curtain up. It's just,
Oh, I know.
you
I
know.
was getting ready to jump on the stream today, and I was literally like sitting down at my computer, and then I heard the dulcet tones of my eldest child crying out for me.
Pitter patter.
It was fine, but I just needed to go attend to it. So
Yeah, whereas I'm just late because I'm disabled and my internet doesn't work. But yeah, no, I think that's a great approach. But yeah, no, it is tough to kind of get that right rhythm for your campaign group. Because there's also different personalities. Like you have some groups where they are down and they want to progress the story forward, and then you have some where it's just like shenanigans central. I don't know why. I mean, like we keep getting punished in the Spelljammer campaign for the fact that we keep stealing ultra high profile ships that are gonna get us into trouble.
stop upsetting Will.
Um he just gave us access to like a fourth spelljamming helm. So of course I'm like, now we get a fourth ship. And it's like, we don't have that many spelljammers. And it's like, well, I'll figure that out when we get there. Yeah, no, it's wild. I've never had an armada as like 7th level characters or something like that. This isn't even like a level 20 campaign with like like I like the turtle ship a lot.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah. It's
I don't
funny
know what
because I
else
have one
is on.
campaign where I have a character that just really wanted a boat for so long, and I have another campaign with a character that doesn't care about boats and is just like swimming in them. But they're in outer space. The grass is always greener.
Yeah, for sure. This also reminds me of when the link that we were looking at earlier. What are your 2-3 sentence
Oh
D&D
yeah.
horror stories? DM on Discord. Hi guys. So my work schedule has changed. Which is yeah, a very common horror story.
Oh no. DM wanted their NPCs to be PCs, and along with another player, main charactered their way through a years long campaign.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know.
No session this week. The next week, no session this week. The week after, no session this week.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme in here. I don't know. Any other good ones in here, Atlas?
Not that I have seen yet. It's a lot of the same of like DM. Nothing this week. There was one. Hold on, let me see if I can give you a keyword. It was something along the lines of I got dumped from a Planescape game that wasn't even happening.
Yep.
There are too many of these. I don't see anything.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm so looking forward to the session. Same here. This campaign's gonna be awesome. Where's the DM? Why has that campaign been removed from Roll20? Ooh. Yeah, these all seems to be cancellation seems to be the greatest fear of all players and DMs alike.
Scheduling's the BBEG.
Yeah, it is. um,
Trying to think, like, I feel like if Will was writing one of these, it would either be something about all the ships we've stolen, something about we get to like this place called like the Rock of Brawl, where we would theoretically be able to, access a market and do all this stuff, except we get into so much trouble that we get chased away from this and we can never go back. Like instantly, like one session, we didn't even really finish the shopping episode. Or something about us continually setting ships on fire when it's like outer space and they're in like this air bubble, which means like the smoke is just going to choke everybody inside of it. The last one would be the magical items he gave us, not realizing how badly we would obliterate the creatures he puts in front of us with them. Because we were just going absolutely bonkers on this creature that was effectively a boulder we turned into gravel. And our cute little rogue did 59 damage with a single hit with a dagger. Yeah, and then had two more attacks.
Never give anybody an immovable rod.
It's so funny to me because I don't think I've been in a campaign where anyone has abused one.
They should give you one. Elizabeth, the havoc that you would wreak with an immovable rod, I can only begin to imagine.
Come on, Will. Don't you want to do it? Don't you want to press your luck? It's funny because I have been turning down magic items left and right in favor of everyone else. Although I do have a shield that seems to want to defend constructs, and somebody else has a blade that actually talks to them and everything that wants to kill constructs. So like that's gonna, and we have an auto gnome in the party, so that's not gonna end well. But my character's already died twice in this campaign, so I don't know.
That sounds a little bit rough.
Yeah, well, every time I come back, it's with more nightmares. No, but this one's a limerick. There once was a player to my right. No matter the circumstance, they just wouldn't fight. Syllables aren't great. With some words that did count, they turned their character around, and now they kill anyone on sight. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I was hoping this was going to be more fun.
Yeah, people need better horror stories than just the scheduling.
Have more bad experiences playing D&D,
I mean,
please.
I will tell you what mine is. The players burned down the tavern with all the important NPCs in it. That's it. And it's happened more than once, and that is why I will burn all of the ships, Will. Every last ship. Except the ones that I keep.
What are the consequences for that?
For burning the
What do you
ship?
do when your players burn down your tavern?
Oh my god. It's so bad. It's so bad because like these were murder mystery type things. There are no like official mechanics for burning buildings, which is wild because there's so many mechanics for setting things on fire, but then there's no like how do you deal with there's nothing. So I had to invent mechanics on the spot. And their jobs just became exponentially harder because like main quest giving because this was also instances where they knew who was in there. So it wasn't something where I could just retcon that somebody wasn't in there. They knew who was in there. They were in there to meet people, and then it still burned to the ground. So like there was one where I ended up having to invent an entire holiday ball to try to make up for the damage caused. It was rough. We got there. Kicking and screaming.
Huh. So I'm just trying to figure out how you would do this.
How you'd burn down a building?
Yeah, what the mechanic would be. So
So I was
materials have
using
HP, right?
yeah, so I basically was just using a fire spreading mechanic per turn. Well, no, this isn't true. Okay, there were two ways I did this. One was just straight up skill challenge. But then they felt like big damn heroes, and then they went and did it again. So we couldn't keep doing that. They did kill innocent people each time, I want to point out, and that also significantly complicated things so much so they had to go on the lam. Because in the course of investigating a murder, they managed to kill more people than the murderer. Anyway, so the second time around, I did it as like things spreading per turn. And I think it was just and I want to compare this with what Will did when we set the vampire ship on fire, because that also happened. But I think it was just like one square that a square on fire was touching would go up the next round, and I was just kind of doing it like that. The problem is a lot of standard like fire damage mechanics can wipe out commoners. So your other problem with this is if you are dealing with, if you're trying to write a mystery where it's like someone hidden among the nobles, the commoners, the like not, huge heroes is the baddie, you theoretically could just like burn everybody and the one still standing is the murderer, right? So like that presented a whole other.
Or it's like that's almost a perfect scenario for like the 1 HP dragon, right? Where it's like the mystery is the thing, and then like the hit points are a little bit immaterial. But yes, commoners are squishy.
Yeah, no, and then I decided to give them another one, which I realized we still haven't finished. But I gave them another one that it just starts with the building on fire. Because I was like, we're gonna get here anyway, so we're just gonna start with the building on fire.
I like that. I like that.
But it's becoming a happy to run that one for y'all too. But
that'd be fun.
yeah, it is a one shot, but it's only one shot if we stay focused. And you got to remember, a one shot definitionally is still like 3 or 4 hours. So if you're not going to get 3 or 4 hours of play in one session, it's not gonna.
Yeah,
It's not gonna one shot.
I did. I was running Act 1 of Tosca for some friends recently because
Wait, Act 1 or Act 2?
Act 1, which I've never actually run.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But so I ran it for my home group because our DM was not available. So we did that, and it was tough to get through it all. I also tend to get very as a DM, I tend to get sidetracked with hijinks. I love a hijink.
It's just
like,
too much fun. Well, and like, what's the goal? Is the goal to get to the end of the story in a timely manner, or is the goal to have fun? Because the minute you decide the goal is to have fun, it's hard to say no to the hijinks. Oh my gosh, I really do. I feel like, God, do I want an immovable rod from Chris or from Scott? I feel like Chris would let me get away with too much. Scott would try to restrain me and I would get more and more ridiculous. It might be Scott. You should see how much mayhem Pocket can get into just with one of those rods that like gets longer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, she was, which is wild because like that one I have completely assumed to be a harmless item, but you put it in the right person's hands and chaos ensues.
I love a common magic item can be a real nightmare. I wonder if there's like a great immovable rod Reddit post.
I feel like I would try to attach it to Wave, the sentient trident, and have like a Mjolnir situation. Or his hammer.
That might work.
I could just set it on things, nobody else can pick it up. I could set it on people. I would do a lot of that actually. Especially when you use the new like weapon masteries, because I'm just like constantly knocking people over with the battle axe. Or the trident. The trident also has that, I think. I don't know. Giving away all the good answers. Anyway, this is definitely rambling.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we were going to talk about because now I'm just thinking
I don't know. We've gone.
ways I could use a movable rod or an immovable rod.
Yeah.
I actually have an immovable rod hidden on the riddle map, and nobody's ever found it. But I don't actually know how they would get it. But it is technically there. So if I see it, PAX East, try to get the immovable rod. Whole other side quest. I probably should never try to run a game in the lobby of the hotel ever again, but that was fun.
Hey,
I wish my brain was more together.
Amazing.
I wish I wasn't so exhausted, so I was a little more like on the ball as a DM, but it was wild. I did like that my back was to the crowd, so I wouldn't have been able to see if any, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to make eye contact with some PAX people while you're running a game in the lobby. your first night there? God. What are we doing?
It's such a vibe. It's such a PAX is a vibe.
It really 100% is. But I think the the late night games are fingers crossed they happen this time. And we want to have some like 18 plus games in the PTI and or the AFGL like after the spaces normally close at least one night. So you can have like accessible, inclusive experiences where it's also like, people that want to be at 18 plus games. So you're not having to watch your manners. You can cover whatever content you want or whatever. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I say that every time, and then I am so exhausted that I just like climb into bed and eat my dinner in bed.
Yeah. No, it's
That's what
exhausting.
happens every time.
It
I'm
is
too
tiring.
disabled for this shit. That's just my motto. But it's so much fun. Every time I'm like so convinced I'm gonna be able to do it. And honestly, with Frank helping out so much more at the AFGL, I may be able to. 'Cause if I had days that I didn't have to be there at opening, um, nope, probably still not. I don't
Well,
have
yeah.
kids for a reason. Oh my god. Okay, so should we do you have
Yeah,
anything else you wanna talk about, or should we
I
wrap
think I
it up?
think
'Cause
we're
my
we're
brain is clearly, like, been gone.
we are
We
we
can't
are
even claim that
wandering
I
into the
lost it. It was just never there to begin with.
we're
Oh,
now fully in the
okay.
wilderness.
We have wandered, and we will
Yeah,
keep wandering until next Thursday night.
Thursday. We don't know what we're doing yet Thursday, but it'll be awesome.
These are the new OTG dice.
Ooh, pretty. Oh, those are the new.
Yeah, I think I got
Shall
one
I
of
say
each.
regular size ones?
Yeah, so we got we have a few we still have some of those, like, extra large ones, but we got some regular ones for giveaways. We have these, like, purple with gold with our logo there,
Hmm.
and then we have some of these that are the, like, blue and pink and sparkly. That's
I
the
have
big
one of
one.
the big ones.
And then we got D4s of, like, the blue, pink, sparkly too, because these are the really cool Roll for Initiative D4s.
Oh, those are pretty.
Yeah. So, anyway, I should probably say bye so Atlas can go hide.
All right,
Classes start tomorrow.
I was gonna say
Back
classes
up
start tomorrow
Thursday
for
tech.
you too.
for everyone.
Everyone.
You too.
Anyway, good night, y'all. We will see you again, but next Thursday, and we'll try to make sure there's some updates going out in the Discord. If there's topics you want us to talk about, questions you have, let us know. We'll do our best to include them. Okay, bye, everybody.